everyone is well. Cool. Happy Tuesday. Keep forgetting what day it is. Today we're going to be working on quite a lot of lower back strengthening and upper spine twisting, so thoracic spine mobility, and a couple of hamstring stretches thrown in as well. So if you haven't already, you might want to get a strap or anything that resembles a strap, so dressing gown, belt, lead, dog lead. You could even use like a phone charger, cable, anything that you can just hook around your foot. Don't worry if you've not got anything, you can use your hands as well. You might also want to grab pillows, blankets for your Shavasana as well. We're going to start seated, so whenever you're ready, come and find a comfortable seated position. I'll get started in a couple of minutes. Might be all of us. So if you haven't already, grab yourself a strap, just something to use for the hamstring stretches at the beginning. We'll only need it at the beginning, so once you've done with it, you can just pop it to one side. We won't need it anymore. Don't worry if you don't have a strap or a belt or a dressing gown strap, you can just use your hands. Pillows, blankets for your Shavasana. And we're going to start seated as well, so if you want to grab a pillow to sit on, you're more than welcome to grab one. Whenever you're ready, come into a comfortable across the leg seated position. If it's uncomfortable sitting with your legs crossed, so you can sit on your knees. You can also start sat on a chair or couch if that feels better. We'll take a couple of stretches here, and then we'll take some breath practice, and then we'll get into our sequence flow stretch. Okay, so when you're ready, take a full inhale in through the nose, exhale it out through the mouth, and on your next inhale, bring the hands up overhead. As you exhale, try and draw the shoulders away from the ears. We'll do this a couple more times, so with your inhale, reach the hands up even higher, allow the shoulders to shrug up. And as you exhale, try and draw the shoulders down away from the ears. You might just need to open the hands a little bit wider into a V shape. One more like that. Inhale, reach the hands up. As you exhale, draw the shoulders down away from the ears. This time take a full inhale in through the nose, reach the hands up a little bit higher. And as you exhale, cactus the hands, bend the elbows and bring the elbows in line with the shoulders, spread the fingertips wide. From here, as you inhale, pull the arms back a little bit more, so really squeeze the shoulder blades together. Imagine you're trying to hold a pencil in between the back muscles. You're trying to get your arms as far back as you can. As you exhale, bring the hands in front of the body and then cross the arms around your chest, so allow your back to round a little bit here. Use your fingers to walk your hands a little bit further around your back, and you should feel a stretch, just a slight stretch between the shoulder blades and maybe into the chest and the shoulders as well. As you inhale, bring the arms back out into that cactus position, spread the fingertips wide, squeeze the shoulder blades together. And as you exhale, cross the hands, try and go the opposite way this time so the other one is on top. Bringing the fingertips together behind your back, so maybe just walking the fingertips together, trying to get them to meet. Inhale, bring the hands back out into that cactus position. As you exhale, cross the hands in front of the body, allow the back to round and maybe drop the head a little bit as well so you get that stretch down the neck. Inhale, opening up the hands. Exhale, crossing the hands around the body and try and go for the other one on top. Allow the chin to drop, round in the spine. Inhale, cactus the hands. You've got two options for this next one. As you exhale, you can either come back into the body cross, so one arm across on top of the other, or you can up this into an eagle wrap instead. So keeping the arms crossed, you're just going to bring the forearms together. Maybe the back of the palms meet, back of the hands meet, If that feels easy, then you can start to cross the hands around so that the palms meet, or maybe you just grab hold of that wrist. Really squeeze the arms together, and then from here, if you're in this eagle wrap, try and lift the elbows up a little bit more. Tucking the chin down, so try to let your head rise up. See if you can find a nice long spine here. If you've got the arms wrapped, then just see if you can walk the fingertips behind your back a little bit more. Take one full inhale, and then exhale, release. We will inhale, come back into your cactus shape, squeeze the shoulder blades together, spread the fingertips wide. As you exhale, cross the hands, the opposite one is on top this time. Option to stay here, or coming into your eagle wrap, bringing the forearms together, and if that feels okay, maybe taking hold of the wrist. In this position, try and lift the elbows up, so this is going to bring the stretch in between the shoulder blades. Keep the chin tucked, so your spine is long. If you've got that wrap around the body, try and walk your fingertips back a little bit more, so really squeeze like you're giving yourself a hug. Take one full inhale here. Exhale, bring the hands back into that cactus position. Squeeze the shoulder blades together as much as you can. Really spread the fingertips wide. And then release the hands down onto the lap. Either placing the hands on the knees, or you can make a circle with the hands and just place the hands down on the lap. If it's better for you to lay down, then you're more than welcome to lay down for this next 4 minutes. We're going to do a little bit of breath practice. We'll start by shrugging the shoulders up to the ears, and then allowing them to roll down the back. We'll do that one more time. Shrug the shoulders up to the ears, and then allow them to roll all the way down and back. Just close your eyes here. So just giving yourself a quick body scan. Just noticing how you're feeling today, this morning. Starting with the crown of the head. Seeing if you can start to relax the muscles in the forehead, the jaw. Allowing the shoulders to soften. Maybe noticing if there's any sensations in the shoulders after we've just been stretching them, warming them up a little bit. See if you can sit up a little bit taller. So if you are seated, just check in particularly with the lower spine. Just noticing whether you started to round that lower back. So whether you're kind of sinking into the lumbar spine. If you are, send the crown of the head up towards the sky. So you're lengthening up through the spine, but keep the core abdominal muscles turned on. So you draw in the belly button back towards the spine. It's just a slight engagement here. This is going to help us prevent us from sinking into the lower back. If you have your hands on your knees, just notice whether you're using your hands to keep you upright. So if you feel like you're kind of gripping onto your knees quite a lot, you might just want to grab a couple more layers to sit on. So sitting on books, cushions, anything. If you feel like you are using your hands to pull you upright, this is not going to use the abdominal muscles. So I definitely recommend sitting up a little bit higher and just gently placing the hands onto the knees and making sure that core is turned on. Just start to observe the breath here. So try not to change anything just yet. Just starting to notice the length of the breath, the length of the inhales and the exhales. Whether it's quite short, quite deep. And noticing where you can feel the breath as well. So whether that is purely just in the chest. Maybe the chest is just rising and falling with the inhales and exhales. Maybe it's mainly in the throat, in the nose. Maybe you can feel it in the belly. And in your own time, start to lengthen the breath, deepening the inhales, lengthening the exhales. So we're going to start to cultivate diaphragm breathing. So diaphragm breathing is from the belly. So if you did notice that your chest was doing most of the movement when you were breathing, and see if you can start to fill the belly with air with your inhales. So you're really making this round belly with your inhales. Fill the belly up with air. And then as you exhale, this is when you can start to draw the belly button back towards the spine, turn on those abdominal muscles. So with your inhales, allow the abdominal muscles to relax, really fill the belly with air. And as you exhale, starting to draw the belly button back towards the spine. So this type of breath will use our diaphragm. So that is all part of stability, all part of our core strength. See if you can stick with this slow rhythm of breath. So making every round of breath a little bit deeper, a little bit longer, a little bit fuller. With every inhale, sitting up a little bit taller, lengthening the spine, send the crown of the head up to the sky. With every exhale, finding softness in the shoulders. We'll take 5 more rounds of breath. So just find a rhythm of breath that you can stick with. Maybe trying to get those exhales longer than the inhales to activate that parasympathetic nervous system. Maybe holding it slightly at the top of every inhale before you take your next exhale. And then again, maybe holding it slightly at the bottom of the exhale. If you start to feel dizzy at any point when you're doing this full deep breath, then just take a normal breath and then see if you can get back into it. We'll take about 3 more breaths in your own time. Don't worry if you don't get through all 3. Don't worry if you end up getting through more than 3. Just find a rhythm that works for you. And take 1 more full round of breath. On your next exhale, just start to blink the eyes open. I'm going to make our way onto our back, so find a comfortable laying down position. We'll just take a couple of movements laying down here to warm up the spine and to warm up the hamstrings as well. So we'll start by hugging the knees into the chest. And just start to rock gently from side to side. So pressing the lower back down into the mat, just giving yourself a little massage, rocking from side to side. Keep hold of the right knee and then extend the left leg out long. Just make a couple of circles with that right knee in one direction, so you're getting into the hip joint here. And then when you've done, move in the opposite direction, making them as big or as small as feels good for you. Grab back hold of that right knee and then place the left hand onto the outside of the right knee. We're going to drive that right knee all the way down to the left until it taps the floor. The right arm comes out to a T position, which might mean that right knee starts to rise up off the mat. The left arm is then going to come out to a T shape as well, so we're not holding onto that right leg here. Try and use the strength in that right knee, that right leg, to drive the right knee down towards the mat. We're going to start by warming up the thoracic spine, so the very top of the spine. If there's enough space for you, have both arms out to a T. If not, cactus the hands so the elbows are bending. We're going to draw a circle behind our head with the right arm. So try and keep the fingertips on the floor. Try and keep the arm as straight as you can if there's room. Then bring that right arm to meet the left fingertips and then take it all the way back. So you might get a couple of cracks out the spine. We'll take 3 like this, so 2 more. Keeping the right arm as long as you can. Try and keep the fingertips on the floor. Right hand taps the left and then take it all the way back. Don't worry if your fingertips are struggling to reach the mat, that's normal. It all depends on your thoracic mobility. We will do 1 more, so make that big circle behind your head. Fingertips tap, and then take it all the way back. coming back onto your spine. Keep hold of that right knee. We're going to bend the left leg, then place the sole of the left foot flat down onto the mat. This is where you might just want to grab your strap. And if you're using a strap, hook it under the foot, but make sure that it's hooked in the very centre of the foot. So it's not on the toes, it's not on the heels, it's right in the centre of the foot. If you don't have a strap, then you can grab hold of behind your leg, your calf, or if you've got super flexible hamstrings, the 2-piece fingers can take hold of the inside of that big toe. Wherever you are, start to extend that right leg up towards the sky, and you should start to feel a stretch down the back of the right leg into those hamstrings. In this position, make sure that your tailbone is pressing down into the mat. So it's quite easy in this position to let the hips rise up off the mat to get a deeper stretch or to get the leg closer towards the chest, but you're actually going to benefit more by rooting your lower back down into the mat, keeping that there and then trying to drive the leg towards your chest with the lower back down. It'll feel like it's not going as far, but it'll be a better stretch for the hamstring. You might also need to keep a micro bend in that right knee, particularly if your leg is hyperextending, so if the knee is kind of travelling backwards. Also if the hamstrings are quite tight, just keep a bend in that knee. We'll take 2 more breaths here, so with your inhales, seeing if you can lengthen the leg a little bit more. With your exhales, just gently drawing the toes towards the chest. Try not to tug too hard because we're still warming up. We'll take 1 more breath here. And as you exhale, bend the right knee, hook the right knee in towards the armpit. We're just going to take a couple of rocks from side to side with that right leg. So again, moving into that right hip joint. Keep the strap on the foot. We're going to extend that right leg back up into that hamstring stretch. So just notice this time whether it felt like you had a little bit more elasticity, a little bit more room to stretch that hamstring. We'll take another 2 breaths here. So with your exhales, just trying to soften into the stretch, trying to draw the toes a little closer towards the chest. And exhale, release. Get rid of that strap, pop it to one side. Keep the left leg exactly where it is. We're just going to cross the right foot over the very bottom of that left thigh. So you're coming into a figure 4 stretch here. You've got quite a lot of options for this stretch. It's going to get into the hips. You can either stay here, or you can start to peel the left foot off the mat. So you're trying to draw the left knee in towards the chest. Hands can come behind the hamstring, so grabbing hold of that left leg, or you can take hold of the shin, so you're bending that left leg. Another option, if that isn't working for you, is to place the left sole of the foot flat onto the floor and then come up into a seated stretch instead. So maybe staying on your forearms or coming up onto the hands. It's the same action, so you're trying to drive your chest towards your foot and you will feel a stretch in your hips. You'll probably find that you prefer one over the other. Whichever variation you're going with, make sure that that right foot is flexed, so you're trying to move the toes back towards the knee, keeping the leg active. And finding that deep breath. So full inhales in through the nose. Full exhales out. If you were seated, make your way back down onto your spine. Hug the knees in, so release that stretch. This time keep hold of the left leg, extend that right leg out long. Right hand comes onto the outside of the left knee and then we'll draw that left knee all the way over until it taps the mat on the right side. Left arm comes out to a T, but don't worry if that left knee starts to rise up. We're also going to bring that right arm out to a T shape, and then we're going to start to draw those circles behind us with that left arm. So trying to keep the left fingertips on the floor, left arm as straight as you can until it meets the right arm, and then take it all the way back up overhead. Trying to keep that left knee pressing down onto the mat as well. Take 2 more in your own time. We'll do 3 in total. So making those circles as big as you can, depending on how much room you've got. Taking 1 more full round. And then we will bring our arms out to this T position. From here, moving back onto your spine, keep the left knee into the chest and then just anchor the right foot, the right sole of the foot down, so you're bending that right knee. Grabbing any straps that you used, we will hook the strap underneath that left foot. Again, if you don't have a strap, don't worry, you can use your hands behind your leg, behind your shin, or grab hold of the big toe. From here, start to extend that left leg up towards the sky and just feel that hamstring stretch on the back of the left leg. Again, check that your tailbone is pressing down into the mat and that you haven't started to lift your hips up off the mat. If your knee is hyperextended, just micro bend that knee a little bit more. And if you're feeling this is quite tight, you can also keep a bend in that left leg. Perfectly normal to feel tight, especially when it's the first thing that we're doing in the morning. You'll still get a good stretch even with the knee bent. So find your breath here with your inhales, trying to lengthen that leg, activating the quads. And as you exhale, just slowly pull in the toes towards the chest. Try not to tug too hard, as long as you can feel some stretch down the back of that leg. Bend the left knee, hook the left knee into the chest, and then just rock the knee from side to side. Keep the strap hooked around the very sole, middle of the left foot. And then we will start to extend that left leg back up again for one last hamstring stretch. So again, pressing the lower back down into the mat. Just gently trying to creep the toes a little bit closer towards the chest. Take one more full inhale. And exhale, release. Pop your strap to one side. We won't need that again. Keep the right foot where it is. Left foot is going to cross over the right thigh. So you're coming into this figure 4 stretch. Again, same options. You can either stay here or peel the right foot off the mat. Hands can come behind the right leg, or you can hook the hands around the right shin. Final option is to place the right foot flat onto the mat and then make your way up into a seated position, either on your forearms or your hands. Whichever variation you're going with, make sure that that left foot is flexed, so you're trying to draw the toes back towards the knee. Find your breath here, so full inhales in, full exhales back out. And then if you were seated, make your way back down onto your spine. We'll all place the right sole of the foot flat down onto the mat and then give your knees a hug, hugging the knees into the chest. We're going to start to get into our abdominal muscles. We've not got much ab work tonight, just this morning even. Just one hollow body hold. So lift your chest up, bring your hands alongside the knees. You should already start to feel those abs turning on. We're going to move into a hollow body position, so keeping that lower back pressed down into the mat. As soon as you start to feel that lower back arch, just stay where you are. So maybe we will just extend one leg out for now. This might feel okay. If it does, maybe you can start to extend the other leg out as well. It's fine to keep both knees bent. Make it harder by bringing the hands up overhead. We'll hold it here for 10 seconds. If it is too much on the neck, just place the fingertips behind your head for a little bit of support, but try not to use the arms to drive your chest up. Keep breathing. Hold it here for another 5, 4, chest up, 3, lower back down, 2, and 1. Give yourself a hug. Knees come into the chest. From here, rock and roll into your tabletop position. If you don't want to roll forwards and backwards, then you can just use your hands and knees to swing your legs around, and then we'll all meet in on all fours. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees are hip width apart. We'll just take a couple of cat-cows to get into that spine again. So with your inhales, drop the belly down, chest moves forward, sit bones move backwards. As you exhale, really pressing into the hands, round in between the shoulder blades, let the head relax. Just find your own breath, your own time for these cat-cows. Your inhales want to be arching the spine, and your exhales you want to be pressing the hands into the mat, finding that roundness between the shoulder blades. If you want to close your eyes, you're more than welcome. If there's any other movements that you want to do here that feel better, then you're also more than welcome to do that as well, whether it's just twisting from side to side. So drive the right hip to the right ear and then to the other side. If you want to get into the wrists, you can do, moving the weight forwards and backwards, side to side. If you want to go into a child's pose, then you can. We'll take another 2 full breaths here, wherever you are. And then we'll all make our way into our first downward facing dog. So tucking the toes under, sending the hips all the way up and back. Just take a couple of movements in this first one, pedaling the knees, bending each leg, bending one leg and then the other leg, giving the head a little nod, a little shake. If you want to, you can start to give the wrist a little bit of a circle as well. And then start to find some stillness in your downward dog. From here, walk the hands back towards the feet, keep the knees bent, and take a ragdoll stretch. So let the head be really heavy, let the hands be heavy. There's the option to take hold of opposite elbow and just start to rock from side to side. So this is going to release the lower back. We're stretching the lower back here. In this position, allow the weight of the head to just pull you down towards the mat. So let the head relax, give a little shake, a little nod. Dropping the hands down if you had them crossed. We're going to come up halfway. So place the hands either onto the shins or onto the thighs. Make sure that your chest is parallel with the mat, so you've got a really straight spine here. Place your hands on your hips. You want to tilt the pelvis here, so with your thumb on the lower back and your fingertips on the very bony bit of your hip, you want to lift the thumbs up and press the fingers down, almost as if you're trying to arch the lower spine, but keep that spine long. This is going to tilt the pelvis. This is going to get into the hamstrings. With an inhale, take a lengthen through the spine. As you exhale, fold a little bit deeper, keeping that tilt in the pelvis. Inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale, folding a little bit deeper. We'll do 2 more like this. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale to fold. 1 more time. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, folding forwards. Place the hands onto the mat and then walk forward into a plank position. Finding your strong plank position. We're going to take 3 tricep dips here. So I would recommend dropping the knees down. Don't worry, you don't have to. If you want to make it extra challenging, keep the knees up off the mat. Hugging the elbows into the side of the body. We're going to lower down halfway. So don't lower the full way down. Keep the chest hovering off the mat. Take an inhale. Exhale, press up into your plank position. We've got 2 more like that. Inhale here. Exhale, hook the elbows into the side of the body, lower down halfway. Inhale. Exhale, press up to your plank position. 1 more time, inhale here. As you exhale, keeping the elbows pressing into the side of the body halfway. Inhale here. Exhale, pressing up to your plank position. This time take an inhale. As you exhale, keep the elbows hugging into the side of the body. We're going to go up the whole way down. Chest comes down to the mat. Untuck the toes, shuffle the forearms forward. Inhale, halfway lift with the spine. Coming into your Sphinx position, so the forearms are pressing down into the mat. Squeeze your bum here and draw the shoulders away from the ears. As you exhale, lower the chest back down towards the mat. Place your forehead onto the mat and then bring your arms up overhead. So I'm going to keep my forehead lifted so you can hear me, but you guys need to make sure that your forehead is pressing down onto the mat. With an inhale, lift up the hands so the hands are coming up off the mat. As you exhale, cactus the hands, squeeze the shoulder blades together, spread the fingertips wide. We're just going to keep working through those 2 movements. With your inhales, bringing the hands up overhead, don't let the hands touch the floor. Exhale, cactus the hands, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Just keep working through these 2 movements in your own time. With your inhales, you're bringing the hands up overhead. And with your exhales, you're cactusing the hands. So with these 2 movements, make sure that your glutes are engaged. You're squeezing the bum. And you're also tucking the sit bones under as well. So it's almost as if you're trying to lift your belly button up off the mat. This is really going to get into that thoracic spine, the top of the back. Take a couple more rounds here. Really squeezing those shoulder blades together. And then as you exhale, place both hands onto the mat. Hands come underneath the shoulder blades. Tucking the toes under. Pressing up into your plank position. And then finding a downward facing dog. Taking 5 breaths in your downward dog. Optional to take a child's pose instead. Knees out wide, feet together. Chest comes back towards the legs. Just taking 5 breaths wherever you are. Full inhales in. 4 exhales out. We will start to work through a couple of sun salutations to get us a little bit warmer. So if you were in your child's pose, make your way back up into your downward facing dog. Our first sun salutation will be lunging. So we're going to make our right foot to the front of the mat. So there's 2 ways of doing this. You can either drop both knees down and then swing that right leg as close towards the right hand as you can, using your hand to get it towards the front hand. If you find that easy, then you can inhale, lift up the right leg. As you exhale, sweep the right foot towards the right hand, again as close towards the right hand as you can get it, and then use the hand to pull it the rest of the way. Dropping that left knee down for this first round, take an inhale, lift the hands up overhead. It's up to you whether you keep that left toe tucked or untuck that left foot so the top of the foot is coming down towards the mat. Squeeze the glutes, tuck the sit bones under. We're just going to start to bend into that right knee a little bit more so you're stretching that left hip flexor. Keep the shoulders away from the ears, maybe opening the hands a little bit wider. Belly button pulls back towards the spine, keep that core turned on. Exhale, bring both hands alongside the right foot, tuck the left toes, lift the left knee and then step the left foot to meet the right foot at the front of the mat. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, place both hands down onto the mat, this time long lunge back with the right leg, dropping that right knee down. Tucking or untucking the toes, we inhale, bring the hands all the way up overhead. Squeezing the glutes, sit bones tuck under, and just start to bend into that left knee a little bit more, so you're stretching that right hip flexor. Shoulders are away from the ears. Squeeze the bum, especially the right glute. Exhale, bring both hands down towards the mat, tuck the right toes, lift the right knee, this time step the left foot back to meet the right foot at the back of the mat in your plank position. Chaturanga, hips and chest low down to the mat, at the same time keep the elbows tucked in. Untuck the toes. Inhale, halfway lift, either taking cobra stretch or upward facing dog with the hands underneath the shoulders. Shoulders are down away from the ears. Exhale, bring the chest down towards the mat, tuck in the toes. Press up through your plank, either keeping the knees on or off the mat, and then step it up into your downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. Optional child's pose. You can take a child's pose whenever you want. Really slow the breath down. We've got exactly the same sequence, but on the other side. So if you were in your child's pose, make your way back up into your downward facing dog. Step the left foot through to meet the left hand at the front of the mat, either dropping the knees down or 3-legged dog. Lift up that left leg. And then as you exhale, sweep that left foot through to replace the left hand. Dropping the right knee down, either tucking or untucking the toes. Inhale, and bring the hands up overhead. Squeeze the bum, sit bones tuck under, and just start to bend into that left knee a little bit more. Option to keep the hands up, or bring the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and lift the arms up away from the spine. If it's a bit too much with the interlace, then you can do the same thing with your strap. I know I said we don't need them anymore, but you might need it still. Grabbing hold of that strap behind your back and then trying to lift the arms up away from the chest. This is going to stretch the chest, the shoulder blades. Keep squeezing the bum, belly is engaged, bends into that left knee. And then release the interlace, pop your strap down to the side. Placing both hands down alongside the left foot, tuck in the right toes. Lift the right knee, step the right foot to the front of the mat to meet the left foot. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, place both hands down onto the mat, step the left leg back this time. Dropping that left knee down. Inhale, lift up the hands. Again, tucking or untucking that left toe. We will bring the hands behind the back. Option 1, interlace the fingers, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Option 2, grab your strap. holding the strap behind your back and trying to lift the arms up away from the spine. If both of these feel uncomfortable, then what you can do instead is imagine you're holding a big beach ball behind your back, or keep the arms up overhead. Bending into that right knee a little bit more so you can stretch that left hip flexor. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, bringing both hands down towards the mat, tucking the left toes, lifting the left knee, step the right foot back to meet the left. Chaturanga, hips and chest low down to the mat at the same time. You can drop the knees here. Untuck the toes. Inhale, lifting up the chest. Upward dog or cobra. Exhale, bringing the chest down towards the mat, tucking the toes, making your way through plank. Again, you can keep the knees down. And then send the hips up, downward dog or child's pose. Taking 5 breaths wherever you are. So see if you can start to slow the breath down again. We have just got quite fast. You might feel a little bit warmer. Pulse might have gone up a little bit, so just see if you can start to cultivate those full inhales, full exhales before we start to move around again. If you were in your child's pose, make your way back into your downward facing dog. With an inhale, step the right foot to meet the right hand, either dropping onto the knees or inhaling to three-legged dog. Exhale, sweep the right foot through, drop that right foot down. Either keeping that left knee lifted or dropping the left knee down, we will inhale, bring the hands up overhead. As you exhale, take the hands back behind you, either keeping hold of that big beach ball so really activate the arms, or interlace the fingers, squeeze the shoulder blades together and try and lift the arms up away from the spine. Taking 5 breaths here. So bending into that right knee as much as you need to stretch that left hip flexor. Again, you can keep that left knee lifted to make it a little bit more intense this time, a little bit more of a strengthening stretch. Keep breathing. With an inhale, release the hands, bring the hands up overhead, drop the left heel down. We'll open up into a warrior 2, so the arms come out to a T. Shuffle the right foot across to the left so that that right heel is in line with the left toes. The arms are really active. Just take your gaze over the right arm. Bending into that right knee and try and drive that right knee to the right as well. Drop your left thumb down to face the ground. Then bring the back of the left hand just into the lower back. So it's going into the very small of the lower back. Spin around. If that feels easy, then you can just walk it a little bit further over, maybe catching hold of the right hip, right thigh, right t-shirt. Reach the right t-shirt, t-shirt in general. Reach the right hand forward and then bend the right elbow and place the right forearm onto the right thigh. Twisting the left shoulder up towards the sky. So you're trying to lean back into that left shoulder. Make sure that you're not leaning into that right leg, so you're still using your core strength. So you've got a gap between the right side body and that right thigh. See if you can lean back a little bit more, trying to open up your chest towards the sky. The left leg is strong. Exhale, look down to that right leg. Inhale, coming back up into your warrior 2, straightening that right leg, and then just turn both toes outwards. So you're finding this sumo squat stance, so it's quite a wide squat. The feet are still underneath the wrists if you were to take them out to a T-shape, but we're going to place the hands onto the hips. Bend the knees, and then drive the knees out to the side of the room. Placing the right hand onto the right thigh, left hand onto the left thigh, just drop that right shoulder down and use the right hand to push the right knee backwards a little bit. So this is going to twist the T-spine, the very top of the spine. It's also going to stretch the adductors and the inside of the leg too. Coming back through center, swapping sides, press the left hand into the left knee, twisting the right shoulder back. So you're dropping that left shoulder down. We'll do it one more on each side, so keep bending the knees. Press the right hand into the right thigh, right knee. Drop that right shoulder down. Just take your gaze up to the sky as well, so you're just looking over that left shoulder. Coming back through centre, one more on each side, one more on this side. Press that left hand into the left thigh, left knee, drop the left shoulder down, and then just take your gaze over the right shoulder. Coming back to centre, straightening up the legs. Pivot on the feet, so your right foot is in front. Then place both hands down onto the mat. Step the right foot back to meet the left foot in your plank position. Option to move straight into a down dog, straight into your child's pose, or if you want to, chaturanga, hips and chest lower down to the mat at the same time. Untuck the toes, inhale, lifting up the chest. Exhale, bringing the chest back down towards the mat, pressing up through your plank position, either into a downward facing dog or coming into a child's position. Taking 5 deep breaths wherever you are. So 4 inhales in, 4 exhales out. Spread the shoulders away from the ears wherever you are. Let the head relax. Really activate the quads. If your downward dog feels like it's quite weight bearing in the arms, then just bend the knees a little bit more and drive the chest back towards the thighs. So you're trying to get your head between the arms. This is going to really help your overhead mobility. If you're doing your lifting and the overhead presses, it's a really good movement to do to open up the shoulders. If you were in your child's pose, make your way back into your downward facing dog. Stepping the left foot through to meet the left hand, either knees down or through your 3-legged dog, left leg lifts. Sweep the left leg through. Drop that right knee down is option 1. Option 2, keep that right leg lifted. We inhale, bring the hands up overhead. As you exhale, take the hands back behind. Imagine you're holding that big beach ball or interlacing the fingers. Try and get the other thumb on top this time. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and try and lift the hands up away from the chest, away from the spine. Keep squeezing the bum. Belly button moves back towards the spine and we're bending that left leg. Taking 5 deep breaths here. So really squeeze those shoulders. Shoulders move away from the ears. Right leg, if it's lifted, it's active. So really draw those kneecaps up on that right leg. Get those quads engaged. 5 deep breaths. So another 2. Release the bind if you had that bind. Right heel drops down towards the mat. Open up the arms. Warrior 2. Shuffling that left foot across to the right a little bit more so that the left heel is in line with the right toes. Shoulders are away from the ears. Sit bones tuck under. So try not to let the bum flare back. Keep tucking that sit bone under. Belly button pulls back towards the spine. Bend it into the left knee. Try to send that left knee forward and also out to the left as well. Drop the right thumb down and then just place that right hand into the very small of the back. So the back of the hand is in the lower back. That feels easy. You can walk the hand a little bit further over, maybe catching hold of the hip, thigh, t-shirt. Reach the left hand forward a little bit more and then bend the left elbow. Place the left forearm onto the left thigh and then try and twist your right shoulder up towards the sky. So you're just turning the chest to face the ceiling. Allow the right shoulder to move down away from the ear. Keep breathing here. Really activate that right leg. So try not to let that right knee bend. Keep that right leg strong. Pressing the left foot into the mat to lift up your left side body. So try not to lean into that left leg. You're really lifting up the chest, twisting the right shoulder backwards and up. As you exhale, look down to that left foot. Inhale, coming up into your warrior 2. Straighten the left leg. Place the hands onto the hips. Then this time take both toes turning inwards. Turn both toes in. So we've still got that wide stance, but this time both feet want to be parallel and the toes just turn in slightly. Hands come onto the hips. We inhale here, stand up really tall. As you exhale, folding forwards, hinging from the hips, bringing the fingertips down towards the mat. If they don't quite meet the mat, you can place the hands onto the shins, the thighs, or bend the knees and just bring the hands as close towards the floor as you can get them. If you're finding that your back is rounding, so you can test whether your back is rounding by just placing the hands onto the lower spine. If you can feel the bobbly bits of the spine, it's probably because it's rounding. So if that is happening, make your stance a little bit wider. So take the legs out wider, and then see if you can push your bum backwards. So rather than rounding from the spine, you're moving forwards with the chest and hinging from the hips. If your hands are on the floor, press the hands away from you and then try and use this to drive the head a little bit closer down towards the floor. So you're basically aiming in this stretch to get the crown of the head, very top of the head, down onto the mat. And then there's transitions into headstands, which you're more than welcome to do if you want to. I'm not going to demonstrate because I'll probably fall and break something. Taking 3 more breaths wherever you are. Really activate the legs. With every exhale, see if you can soften into those hamstrings a little bit more. On your next inhale, come up halfway, coming onto the fingertips. As you exhale, place the hands onto the hips. Inhale, coming up to standing. Pivot on the feet, so you're framing the right leg this time. Both hands come down towards the mat. Step the right foot back to meet the left. Option to move straight back to your down dog, straight back to your child's pose, or vinyasa, hips and chest low down to the mat at the same time. Untuck the toes. Inhale to lift up the chest. Exhale, bring the chest down towards the mat, tuck the toes, sending the hips up through your plank, either into your downward facing dog or coming into your child's pose. Feet together, chest comes down towards the mat. Take 5 breaths in your child's pose. We're going to start to slow it down now. Or your downward dog. If you're in your downward dog, you can stay in your downward dog. We're all going to meet in the child's pose anyway. If you were in your downward facing dog, make your way into a child's pose. We're just going to take a couple of stretches for the lower back in this child's position. So with your knees out wide and your feet together, if this feels quite tight on the hips, then you can just make the knees a little bit wider. Walk your hands forward, come onto the fingertips, and really start to extend the arms away from your head. Let the head relax, and you should feel this stretch at the top of the shoulder blades into the arms. From here, walk both hands over to the left-hand side. This is going to stretch all the way down the right side of the body, from the right lats, the right lower back. So walk those hands as far over towards the left as you can. Keep the head down. Bringing the hands back through center. This time take both hands over to the right side. So again, stretching all the way down from the left lower back into the lats, the triceps. Depending on where you're tighter is where you'll feel this stretch the most. Try and keep your head relaxed. Make your way back to the center. We'll move into puppy stretch from here. So your puppy stretch is very similar to your child's pose, but you're going to come onto your knees and have the bum stacked over the knees. The tighter you are in the hips, the wider stance you want to take with the legs. If you've got quite mobile hips anyway, then you can have quite a narrower stance here. Keeping that bum up, we're going to start to walk the chest down towards the mat. So you will eventually start to feel a strong stretch in between the shoulder blades. You're aiming here to bring the forehead down towards the mat. If the forehead meets the mat, then you can bring the chest down towards the mat. If the chest meets the mat, then you can bring your chin down towards the mat. Grab any pillows, any blankets that you want to use to put underneath your chest, just to take the intensity off this a little bit more. Another way of taking the intensity off is just to make the hands a little bit wider. Slowing the breath down here. So in this puppy dog stretch, you can have a play around with the positioning of your spine. With an arched spine, this is quite, it's easy to relax into the stretch, but if you start to round the spine, so like the cat-cow, if you come into the cat stretch, this is going to make the stretch a lot more intense in the shoulder blades. So have a play around whether you prefer having the arched spine or whether you prefer having a rounded spine. And with every exhale, just see if you can soften into this stretch a little bit more. Slowly start to make your way out of this stretch, bringing the hands back towards your knees. And we'll find a tabletop position. So hands are as wide as the shoulders, knees are as wide as the hips. We'll just take a couple of thread the needles here. So keep the right hand pressing down into the mat. Take an inhale, reach the left arm up. As you exhale, thread the left hand underneath the right armpit. Bring that left ear down towards the mat. You can either stay here. If this is a bit too intense, then you can stay on that left forearm instead and just use that right arm to twist your chest up towards the sky. To make it a little bit harder, come onto the right fingertips, press the right fingertips into the mat and then use the hand to twist your chest up towards the sky. Another option, reach the right arm up and then bring that hand, that right arm hand, into the very base of the lower spine or hooking it around, catching hold of the left thigh or the left hip. Again, try not to let that right shoulder round forward. Keep trying to drive that right shoulder up towards the sky. You can also do this one on the forearm as well. So just come onto that left forearm. Just find a variation that works for you. Slowly release that right arm back down onto the mat if you had it lifted. Everyone's going to place the right hand flat down onto the mat and with an inhale, lift that left arm up, counter twisting that stretch. Bringing both hands flat down onto the mat. This time keep the left hand down. Take an inhale to reach the right arm up. As you exhale, thread the right hand underneath the left armpit, bringing the right ear down towards the mat. Option 1, coming onto the fingertips, pressing the hand into the mat and trying to twist the left shoulder up to the sky. Option 2, you can start to lift that left arm up. Place the back of the hand into the lower spine or walking it over a little bit more, catching hold of the thigh, your hip, your t-shirt. If these variations are a little bit too strong, then you can come onto that right forearm instead. Either keeping that left hand on the mat, twisting your left shoulder up, or you can bring that left hand behind your back, catching hold of your lower spine, or your thigh, or your hip. Just checking in with that left shoulder. Try not to let the left shoulder round forward. Keep trying to drive that left shoulder towards the sky. So you try to twist your chest to face the sky. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, release. Bring that left hand flat down onto the mat. Press into the left hand, reach the right arm up towards the sky. Just counter twisting that stretch. And then bring both hands flat down onto the mat into your tabletop position. Make your way from here onto your back. So swing the legs around. We will use our abdominal strength to get down. So place the soles of the feet flat onto the mat. Hands come alongside the legs. Lowering down slowly, one vertebrae at a time. Taking your time to get there. So try not to sink down in one full stack. Try and take your time. One vertebrae at a time. Bring the knees into the chest. Give yourself a hug here. We'll finish with a couple of supine twists before we go into our Shavasana. So there's two options. The first option is to keep both knees exactly as they are, and then just let both knees drop over to the left hand side. To make this twist a little bit more intense, then you can cross the right leg on top of the left leg, and then drop both knees over to the left hand side, really squeezing the thighs together. Right arm is going to come out to a T position, and just take your gaze over that right arm. Let the shoulders soften. Maybe closing the eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths. Coming back through center. Uncrossing the legs if you have them crossed. Option 1, drop both knees over to the right hand side. Option 2, cross the left leg over the top of the right. Really squeeze the thighs together. Drop both knees over to the right hand side. Take the left arm out to a T and just take your gaze over that left arm. You can close the eyes here. Just let the shoulders be heavy. Let the hips relax. So try not to grip anywhere. Finding a couple of deep breaths here. So full inhales in through the nose. Full exhales either out through the nose or starting to sigh out through the mouth. Softening the face, relaxing the forehead. Slowly bringing both knees back into the chest. From here, making your way into your own Shavasana. If you want to stay any longer, then you can just pause the video. We're going to stay here for about 4 minutes, so find a comfortable position. If you'd rather do this seated, then you're more than welcome. If you're laying down, then you can either take the legs out long, you can bend the knees, grab any extra blankets, any extra layers that you want to use for this next few minutes. Start to close the eyes. Take a full inhale in through the nose. Exhale it out through the mouth. Do that as many times as you need to get comfortable, to get settled. It's only a couple of minutes, so see if you can find complete stillness in the body. So take any last adjustments that you need to take to find a comfortable position. And finding stillness in the mind as well. If your mind starts to wander, just bring your attention back to your breath. So observing any thoughts that pop in, but try not to get engaged with them. Just put them aside for later. Start to relax the forehead, soften the shoulders, letting the body completely melt into the mat. If you would like to take a longer Shavasana, then you're more than welcome to. If not, start to wake up the body, wiggling fingers, wiggling toes, take a long pencil stretch. Hugging the knees into the chest, making yourself into a little ball. Rocking over onto your left side or your right side, coming into a fetal position. Take your time to come up to a comfortable seated position, keeping the eyes soft or closed, or just lower the gaze down. When you found a comfortable position, lengthen up through the spine, sit up really tall. Let the shoulders relax down away from the ears. Bring the hands together at the heart centre. Press the thumb into the sternum. Drop your chin down to your chest. Thank yourself for taking an hour out of your Tuesday morning to come and practice. I hope you have a wonderful rest of Tuesday, fabulous week. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me live. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, let me know if you've got any questions. I'll see you next week.